Militarily Speaking, Episode 2, Military Saves with Kia McCallister Young. This episode, we talk with Kia McCallister Young from the Consumer Federation of America about military saves and about how it helps the military community. And of course, we'll end with another military minute. Welcome to Militarily Speaking, brought to you by Armed Forces Bank. This is Jodi Vickery, and as always, I am joined by Tom McLean.
Hello, Jodi.
Hey, Tom.
I'm kind of giddy, aren't you?
Oh, well.
Because we have our first official guest of Militarily Speaking.
It is an exciting day.
So again, welcome to our first guest episode of the show. We're excited to have you listening and learning about military saves. Military saves is right around the corner. It's coming up for the whole month of April. Our guest is Kia McCallister Young. Hello, Kia.
Hi, Kia.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, guys. It's an honor to be here and the first guest.
I know.
We're very excited.
So we'll take a moment, okay? There's our moment. So you are the America Saves Director. You support, develop, and implement effective digital communication and engagement strategies within all the America Saves initiatives, including our very own Military Saves, America Saves for Young Workers, and you also are part of the Split the Save program for the Consumer Federation of America. So awesome stuff. And Armed Forces Bank, if I can speak personally for this, we have a long history with Military Saves. We have participated in this program for many years, and we take great pride in marketing and promoting this program to our military service members and their families. And we are the proud recipient of the designation of Savings Excellence for 8 consecutive years. So, you know, a lot of pressure on you. Don't let us trip up and miss our 9th consecutive one, but no pressure on you. So it's coming. And if I'm on the committee, then I'll help you make that decision. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that is very welcome. I don't want to mess up the
street. Yeah.
You don't want to be the one.
Yeah.
So Kia, a few more things about Kia. She's a proud Air Force veteran. Thank you for your service. An active duty Army wife. Kia so aptly states, when you connect with people, you can move them to action. She lives in the D.C. area of Washington with her 3 children, and she has a black golden doodle named Loki. So what is a Loki?
Loki is the Greek god of mischief. And so Loki definitely lives up to his name. And I'm glad I have on earbuds right now so he doesn't hear his name, or he can't hear you guys talking about him, so he won't make an appearance.
Good plan.
So, by the way, the good news is we've changed Jodi's name because it is Loki.
Yes.
But we wanted it to have the same rhythm to it. So she's Jodi.
All right. So, Kia, we're going to jump right into a few questions about military saves.
So I'm going to start it off. Okay, Kia. For our audience's listening pleasure, tell us more about what is Military Saves.
Yeah. So Military Saves is America Saves commitment to the military community to give some really simple strategies, advice, and resources and tools that are easy to implement that support the military community in establishing successful savings, reducing debt, and getting on a path to building wealth. So I like to think of us as your savings accountability partners. And so Military Saves is our program that focuses specifically on the military community from that aspect.
I love that. I love the savings accountability partner comment for sure.
Yes.
And as part of a military family myself, Kia, and being around our friends over the years, it's no secret that military families experience financial stress. You know, we've got studies that say, 62% of them have experienced some type of financial stress. And we know a large number, the majority, 56% of Americans can't even cover a $1,000 unexpected event that happens in their life. So what kind of situations do you see might challenge military families uniquely more so than their civilian counterparts?
Yeah, the biggest 2 that come to mind, although there are several. First is the constant moving and the transition. So I was just having a conversation with a friend the other day. Civilians tend to think, oh, the military covers everything. And
not true.
Not true.
Not true.
There is definitely, no matter how, and the military definitely contributes to that, but there is always out-of-pocket expenses. And so when you are moving every 2 to 3 years or so, that adds up. Every time you move, it's almost like you're starting from ground zero. So that contributes to some of the challenges of that. And the other thing is military spouse unemployment. There are a lot of military families that are single income, and whether that be by choice, some are by choice, which is completely fine. Others, it's not by choice. It's that military spouses, both women and men, tend to have a harder time gaining good employment, gainful employment, because, people can see on their resumes that they're moving a lot. And it does take a lot to onboard new team members. And so they take that in consideration, that those people probably won't be around for a long time, makes it harder to hire. So I think between those two things, I'd say those are the biggest contributors, although there are several others as well.
That's so true. We've never had a free PCS move at our household. I know that for sure.
No. No.
Okay, you mentioned military spouse unemployment. Didn't I read recently that it's around 24% or 26%, something in that range,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
just too high?
Yeah, way, way too high. That's why I'm glad there's a new spotlight being shown on that challenge, and a lot of people stepping up to help, close that gap and bring that number down.
Thank you. Great job so far, Kia. I got another question for you. What's the biggest barrier or challenge in people improving their financial position?
So I love this question because a lot of people think that the answer to that question is putting the onus on the person, right? The person, they're not saving enough. You need to, grab yourself by the bootstraps and just work harder. But actually, I think one of the biggest barriers is the personal finance industry's message. The message to people has been, in order to be successful, you need to have anywhere between 3 to 9 months of expenses saved in your accounts. And that is the way to be successful. If you're not that, then you are, not doing a great job, and you're vulnerable. And you are vulnerable if you don't have some backup. But the idea of saving that much money when you may or may not even be making a fair living wage is overwhelming. And so the personal finance industry's message really needs to shift to make this more relatable and more achievable. And that's something that we do at Military Saves and the rest of our programs, is the idea of starting small and thinking big. So yes, the end goal way down the line might be 9 months of expenses saved, but where can you start right now? Can you start with saving $500? And if you can save $500, then you can save $1,000. And so I really think one of the biggest barriers is the messaging, because it feels so overwhelming to people to hear that they just think, oh, well, I can't do that. That's not even something that we can achieve right now. So they do nothing instead.
Thank you. So do you think there's certain ways that people can get into a discipline of saving too? Because we always think about pay yourself first. You think about, just set aside, even if it's $5 a month, or even if it's cut out one expense a month, or even if it's setting up a routine where you've got an automatic transfer set up for between accounts, between checking and savings accounts. So the little things that people can do to save money, sometimes we live in the here and now, and we don't think, how is that going to benefit me long term? I care more about what's happening to me right now. And I'm not going to worry about retirement. I'm not going to worry about a vacation. I'm not going to worry about my kids' education. But it's the discipline and the behavioral stuff that makes a difference, right, Kia?
Absolutely. That's why we start off Military Saves Month with Save Automatically, because that is the easiest and most successful way to save, which is just like you said, even if it's $5 to $10, especially with the military, those that are active duty, you can set up an allotment pretty easily. If you are a military spouse listening and you work outside of the home, then splitting your direct deposit so that a portion of that goes directly into savings. Or if you are a gig worker, like you drive Lyft or Uber or Instacart or anything like that, where you're getting paid not on a specific frequency, then having an auto transfer set up from your financial institution, whether it's a bank or credit union, ever so often, once or twice a month. But even if that amount is $5 or $10 just to start, you're doing something. And again, If you have a goal that's like $500, then that $5 or $10, you can hit that $500 pretty quickly.
Yeah, I love that. And, it mirrors a little bit how we try to interact with our clients here at Armed Forces Bank as well. Really just meeting them where they're at, doing what they can do at that place in their life, and building a plan from there. And that plan is going to be different really for every single individual, which I think is part of what you're saying there.
Absolutely.
I'll put another plug in for Armed Forces Bank. Can I do that on this podcast? It is brought to you by Armed Forces Bank, right? So there are a lot of banks and credit unions that have these roundup programs, right, Kia, where if you swipe your debit card and it's $1.32, then 68 cents will round up automatically and go into your savings account seamlessly, effortlessly. It's an electronic coin jar. So that's a discipline, too, that if you just don't see it and it just gets tucked away, it's great. And for the most part, you won't miss the roundup if it's pennies. But you'll be surprised that in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year, next thing you know, you have $500 in that account and you didn't even think about it. So I would encourage everybody listening to the podcast and of Militarily Speaking that you should find that credit union or financial institution that offers a program like that, because that's one piece of the bigger picture about how to save.
Absolutely.
I agree, Tom. Kia, so I think a lot of people can relate to what you're describing and the approach that you espouse. What are ways that individuals like Tom, myself, others that are listening today can get involved with Military Saves?
Yeah, so there are two ways. So if you are a person who is looking to have that savings accountability partner, then what you'll want to do is take the Military Saves Pledge. So you'll go to militarysaves.org, take the Military Saves Pledge, and then we follow up with that with different communications via email, text messages. We host events, there's social media support where we get to truly become your savings accountability partner. And you get to choose the goal that you're saving for. So if you're saving for home ownership, that's the type of information that we're going to send you. If you're saving for retirement, that's the type of information that we're going to send you. So we have between 10 and 12 different goals for military families. Now, if you are listening and you are an organization or head up an organization that has a lot of military support, then you'll want to become a partner of Military Saves and even a participating organization of Military Saves Month. And so you do that the same way. You go to militarysaves.org and you'll click on for organizations and you'll see exactly how to sign up for Military Saves Month. We will send you a fully ready to share digital toolkit that you can share with your community during Military Saves Month, which is every April.
There's a theme each week, right? Isn't there, Kia?
There is. And so we kick off the month with Save Automatically. And then we talk about Save for the Unexpected on week 2. Week 3 is Saving for Retirement. Week 4 is Saving by Reducing Debt. And the last week is Saving as a Family.
Awesome. I love that change. It used to be Military Saves Week a few years ago. I think, and then we did a pivot, especially during the pandemic, that's helped us get into more of a focus. And ultimately, Kia, savings is not just a week or a month or a day. It's a year-round proposition. And ultimately, giving more attention to this program for a whole month and having different themes each week makes perfect sense.
And that's a good call out, too, that Military Saves goes beyond just Military Saves Month. So whether you're a saver or a partner of ours, you'll continue to receive communications from us. We host events all year and have different resources that we release throughout the year. So it's not just during the month that you become a saver or partner. It is, all year round.
Can our listeners follow you on social media?
Absolutely. So you can find us everywhere at Military Saves. Just search Military Saves. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. We might be joining TikTok here soon. We're still thinking about it.
No. I'm jealous.
TikTok.
You'll get my follow.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm going to follow you. I'll be the first one.
Okay,
You're the first
great.
podcast guest. I'm the first follower on TikTok. All right. Boom.
Awesome. I'll let you know when we have it up.
Okay.
So, Kia, I'm curious, as a veteran yourself, as a military spouse, if you could rewind time and go back and speak to younger Kia, what would you tell her about how to get off to a good right start in terms of saving habits? A lot of folks, as they join the military, it may sometimes be their very first job. They might be a young married couple, perhaps. Any number of scenarios could play out there. But what advice would you give them to start then and make it a lifelong habit?
Yeah, I think one of them is just mindset, right? Because again, the messages that you're getting from a lot of the industry and personal finance is really overwhelming, especially when you're young. And so having a mindset, we call that mindset to think like a saver, is super helpful. And one of the things that we really embrace is the fact that saving is a habit and not a destination. And so what that means is that idea that, you're a good saver if you have $10,000 in savings it's not about how much is in the account. It's about the habit. Are you consistently saving? Because saving is a cycle. If you're saving, it's most of the time you're going to use it for a purpose. If you're saving for vacation, one day that vacation is going to arrive and you're going to spend it. If you're saving for an emergency, one day an emergency is going to arise and you're going to spend it. And so if you are focused on the habit of saving, then you will be a lifelong saver.
Yep, it's about the journey.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
I think Kia's a seasoned pro at this, don't you?
She is. This is not her first podcast to be my guest.
Well, she told us she never did a podcast, but
it's my first time.
You're doing a great job. So, Kia, is there anything else you want our audience to know or any calls to action that might make sense for our listeners?
Yeah, just a reminder to go and take the Military Saves Pledge if you haven't. If you have not set up automatic savings for yourself, that is the first place to start. So either reach out to your HR department if you want to split your direct deposit to go directly into a savings account, or reach out to your financial institution to have them set up an auto transfer. And don't forget to do what Tom said, which is to look to see if they have a really great roundup program. I remember a couple of years ago at the America Saves Summit, one of our guests shared that the way that they paid for their down payment was because they forgot that there was a roundup program. And when he went and looked at what he'd saved through that roundup program, he was actually able to put it toward his down payment on his home. So
amazing.
That's a really great program to have.
Kia, we had that same story at Armed Forces Bank about 5 or 6 years ago at Fort Riley. We had a client come in, didn't realize that the client had selected a roundup of $5 for every debit card transaction. Next thing you know, he comes in and says, I need to borrow money. And then we looked at his savings account and there was $6,300 in there. He didn't need to borrow any money. He had the money, didn't even know it.
Borrowed from himself.
Yep.
Hey, they say to set it and forget it. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, he did. He forgot it.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even as old as Jodi. So,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're killing me, Tom.
Oh, Jodi, you put up with a lot, don't you?
I do. You really have no idea. That's a whole other episode.
She's got some insurance coverage for that, though.
Yes. Somebody does. All right. Thank you so much, Kia, for your time. You can stick with us here for a few more minutes because we always end every podcast with our Military Minute.
Or what?
Drum roll, Military Minute.
Yes.
Be excited. Just as a reminder, or for new listeners, this is a time when we're going to throw out a military item of interest, trivia, jargon, current events, things you might have seen us discuss here on a podcast today or on our Instagram or Facebook accounts. But the kicker, Tom, is we're going to ask the question, but we're going to leave them in suspense.
Yeah.
They're not going to know the answer till next week's episode. So this is where it gets fun. If you know the answer after you hear today's Military Minute, we need you to watch for this episode to drop on social media, Facebook and Instagram. And you know the drill. Like, share, comment the answer. And you have the chance to win $50 for yourself and $50 for a charity of your choice. It's not even kidding. Yes. And so if you tuned in last week's Military Minute, as a reminder, Tom, the question, do you remember? You've slept since then.
It was who was the lead actor in Platoon?
Nope, wrong.
Oh, that wasn't it?
Wrong question.
Okay.
No, last week's question, who was the radio DJ that inspired Robin Williams' character in the movie Good Morning Vietnam? Yes. And so the answer for those that have just probably been losing sleep since the last episode is Adrian Cronauer. So did you answer correctly? Listen and tune in next week and we'll announce the winner and make sure that we send that $50 your way and to the charity of your choosing.
Wow.
But I think we've got a little more unfinished business for this episode, Tom.
We do?
We do.
Do we have another Military Minute?
We do. It's
Holy
the gift
cow.
that keeps giving.
Kia, you are not eligible, but we certainly want you to follow us on all of our social media sites.
That was going to be my question. If I could win.
Nope. Only Jodi and I are included in the eligibility. So here's the question. And for those of you that were listening to this podcast, you know a little bit about where this question is headed. So it's about military saves. And this week's question for Military Minute is, what is the Military Saves 30-40-30 plan? Let me repeat that.
Ooh, I should write this down.
What is the Military Saves 30-40-30 plan? So the answer next week.
Don't answer.
is coming. Don't answer, Kia. Next week, jump onto our Facebook or Instagram account to answer. And if you know, just like Jodi said a minute ago, a non-military minute ago, for a chance at $50 for you and $50 for a charity of your choice.
Can I give them a hint?
Ooh. Let's hear the hint, and then we'll edit it if needed.
I was just going to tell them that you can find it on militarysaves.org.
Gave them a breadcrumb trail to follow.
Well, Kia, again, thank you very much. We have made history together, the three of us have, and the 4 listeners that we have out there, and we're excited about getting to our 5th and 6th listener, because this kind of conversation is material and important for our military service members to learn about savings and all they can do to better their financial lives. Be sure to learn more about Military Saves program on the website that Kia mentioned, militarysaves.org. And here's another plug for Armed Forces Bank, Jodi. It's sort of a sad plug, but I'm going to do it anyway. So you can actually take your pledge online at www.afbank.com/saver-pledge. But an even easier way to make a pledge, if you're at 2 a.m. and you're restless and you're playing Wordle or Quirtle or Global.
That's only you would be.
Yes, okay. Or you're working on a puzzle. You can take the pledge via your cell phone, and you can text AFB Saves, one word, to 70878.
That's super easy.
That's too easy.
Got it.
If you enjoyed today's episode, go out to afbank.com and subscribe to the show. Also, make sure to rate us. Leave us a comment on your favorite podcast platform, such as Apple Podcast or Spotify. And that is a wrap, isn't it?
It is.
Another great episode. And thank you, Kia. Again, you're a special person. I appreciate your service to our country and the dedication you have to the Military Saves program with Consumer Federation of America. Thank you very much, Kia.
Thank you, Kia.
Thanks for having me, guys. This has been great.
Awesome. Have a good day. Copyright 2022 Armed Forces Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All non-Armed Forces Bank owned apps, websites, company names, and product names are trademarks or registered trademarks of their respective owners. Their mention does not imply any affiliation with or endorsement by Armed Forces Bank of them or their products and services. They are merely used as examples of the many available apps, companies, and websites that offer similar services. Before using any app or website, you should carefully review the terms of use, data collection, and privacy policy. Apps may have an initial cost or in-application purchase features. This information is general in nature and is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Although Armed Forces Bank believes this information to be accurate, it cannot ensure that it could change. Statements or opinions of individuals referenced herein are their own, not Armed Forces Bank. Consult an appropriate professional concerning your specific situation and respective governing bodies for applicable laws, such as IRS.gov for current tax law. Armed Forces Bank, the Armed Forces Bank logo, and the Militarily Speaking logo are registered trademarks of Armed Forces Bank.